Okay. So we're learning that there's different main parshas during the year. We have Parshat Shkalim, which is the shekel. What's the concept of a shekel? Tzedakah is an act of love. It's an act of giving. That's called a zamru, tzedakah. Then we have the next parsha. That parsha that we're working on is called Parshat Zachor. Very good, David. Which is the concept of destroying Amalek. And how is Amalek destroyed? Amalek is the concept of the Sitra Achra that wants to bring you into despair. Yayush. Thank you. He wants to bring you into despair. Yayush. Thank you. How does he get you to do that? By making you think that everything is all for naught. Everything is not working. The key to destroying that is a zamra. That's Parshat Shkalim. But then you're moving now into Parshat Zachor, where you destroy, Zachor, where you destroy Amalek. Okay? That's what we did so far. And then we move into Parsha Para. Why? This is the concept of tshuva. We said in the very beginning of this Likutey Halachot, you cannot keep the Torah and the mitzvot unless you're happy. And you can't be happy unless you judge yourself favorably. So that's these first two parts. Now that you've judged yourself favorably, and now that you're able to think clearly, and Amalek is not destroying you and making you feel yayush, you feel happy, you feel energized, you feel strength, you feel conviction. Now you can go improve and grow as a person, as a family, as a community, as a world. That's called tshuva. And this is the concept of the paraduma. Why? Tavo imo utkaneach albana. Because through these good points that you find within yourself, that's the concept of the parsha of the shekel. Through this nichnara, you destroy all sadness, all negativity, all evil within your life. That is called Amalek. And through this zochim be'emet shuva, you literally come to the chavschut. You literally have come to the place of happiness, joy, goodness, peace, life force. And now you can really do tshuva. That's paraduma. Why? Because the paraduma is tamima. The paraduma is perfect. It's tamima. It's simple. You can't be simple unless you're happy. Because the whole concept of Amalek is he gets you to be sophisticated in your life. How does he get you to be sophisticated in your life? By making you feel yayush. Now I have to go work 12 hours a day. Now I have to go on 1 million dates. Now I have to go through this avenue and through that avenue and through this person, and I have to go sell it to this person like that, and I have to go present myself like this, and I have to go do this, and I have to go do that. Why are you doing that? It's called sophistication. Where is that coming from? A Jew has no sophistication naturally within him. Why is he going there? Because he's in Yayush. Yayush is coming from Amalek. How does Amalek do that? By getting you to feel bad about yourself. So by you doing the Zamra, you get to destroy Amalek. By destroying Amalek, now you can go be simple. Now you can do tshuva. Because you're happy. And that's why it's called a Duma. Da Dina Kasha. The cow is called red because red in Kabbalah and Chassidut is the concept of din. There's always the concept of din. If Benjamin, can you just mute everybody, please? You're the only one who can do that, and you have to constantly be muting everybody. Otherwise, they hear him. Thank you. So, it's a concept of din. Anybody notice that Esav is the only person described in all of Chumash as being as being completely red? Can you guys still hear me, by the way? Just want to make sure. Leah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, why is Esav completely red? Anybody know? He was born red.
He was angry, fiery.
He was born red. Why? Because he is the living physical manifestation of din in the world, of Gevurah. Din. This is the reason why Yitzchak loved him more than he loved Yaakov, because Yitzchak also was Sephardi, and he was also connected more to din. Okay? So as a result of that, when he saw Esav and Yaakov, he had this little mushy marshmallow son who all he did was sit in tents all day and he learned. And he thought, okay, great. Esav was mamish a warrior. He was able to go into the field. He was able to plow. He was able to bring things down into the physical world. He loved him more.
He's able to hunt also.
He was able to hunt. In Kabbalah, the concept of hunting is collecting sparks of Kedusha. Esav was able to do that in a way Yaakov wasn't, because Yaakov was constantly learning in a tent. Okay? So this is the reason why he loved him. However, in the end, and this is really a paradigm for Mashiach, is that Yaakov has to take on a role that he's not really fit for. And that's the role of Esav as well. That Yaakov comes to his dad, and he has to put on Esav's clothes. So he has the voice of Yaakov, but he has the hands of Esav. Right. And Yitzchak was confused. He was happy because I see that it's the hands of Esav, meaning this is the Mashiach. This is the one who can go down into the deepest darkness and lift everybody up. But this is called Yaakov. What does that mean in Kabbalah? It's Moshe Rabbeinu.
Once again, Yitzchak saw in Esav that he can pick everybody up?
Yeah, of course. That's why.
Specifically Esav?
Specifically Esav.
How did Yitzchak not see that who Esav for what he was?
He did, but he saw that Esav had a koach, that if he would be able to channel his physicality properly, he could go down into the deepest darkness and lift everybody up. It's clear in Chassidut that Esav is Bechinat Mashiach. It could have been higher. No, they would have had like a... we're going to say that in a second. Yaakov is the concept of Moshe. In different places in Kabbalah, it's explained that Yaakov Avinu, what was his call? What was his voice? It was Moshe Rabbeinu. The call of Yaakov was Moshe.
Can you just put on the floor?
You can put it on the floor. Thank you. Meaning, what did he have inside of him? It was the consciousness of Moshe. It was the Mashiach, the Redeemer of wisdom. But he didn't have within himself the physical ability to go help those people who were suffering the most. He could only know how to. Esav was the ability to actually go implement that, but he didn't have any of the wisdom. So what did he end up doing? Like Rabbi Nachman says in the first Torah Likutey, he ended up getting into prostitution, into rape, into murdering, into stealing. Because when a Jew who has the ability to be connected to the physical world in a good way doesn't have Chochmah, doesn't have Moshe, he becomes Esav. But in the end, like it's taught in Chassidut, that the Mashiach is going to be Kol Yaakov with the hands of Esav. He's going to have the voice of Yaakov, but he's going to have the hands of Esav. Who is this reflected in? David. That King David comes along, and he's the first person, the only other person in Tanakh who is described as completely red like Esav. Yeah. He's naturally like Esav, except he's connected to the tzaddik. And because he's completely connected to the tzaddik, to Moshe, so he has that consciousness, but he physically looks and sounds and acts like Esav, he's able to put the whole thing together and to bring redemption to the world.
That's why his hands were bloody.
Yes, that's why it said his hands were bloody. And he himself was red, because he's a warrior. He's a warrior. Okay? So this is the para. The para is aduma. It's red. Why is it red? Because it represents din. Because David and Esav naturally both reflect din. One, David is the din of godliness, the malchut of godliness, and Esav is the malchut of exile, of galus. Tamima, but it's tamima. Da dina rafia. Tamima means empathy. Innocence. But here it means rafia. Rafia means it's not din, it's not harsh. Like for instance on Rosh Hashanah, the first day is the more intense din. That's why I don't know if you guys feel it, but if you're really connected, you'll feel the first day of Rosh Hashanah is much more intense in a way that's difficult than the second day. And the second day, you feel literally as the second day comes in, you feel that the judgment is not so intense. I felt it mamish when I was in Uman like a couple of years ago. The first day was really, really, really hard, and the second day felt much, much, much better. I felt it in Israel a couple, 3 years ago. I feel it now. I never used to feel it because I never used to know about all these things. Okay? So the same thing. Why is he a Duma? He's red because he's din. But why is he Tamima? Tamima means he's perfect. But the concept of perfect, like it says, Ish Tam, that Yaakov is Ish Tam, it means Rachamim. So you have the perfect mix of din and Rachamim.
Right.
Dainu, meaning, Kashehu B'china Dina Kasha, Shemitgaber Harav Chas V'Shalom. That this difficult din, this difficulty, this suffering, it strengthens itself, Chas V'Shalom. And it makes itself so strong. Azai Tzarich Den Larapota Din. You need to bring Rachamim and to nullify the din with the Rachamim. And that's what you do when you do a Zamra. It's a very deep thing. So we're learning what is the reason why a Zamra works. Mamish Zamra works, like 100%. Like if a person gets a coffee, he feels up. A person smokes bud and it's good, he gets high. A person does a Zamra and he does it for real, his whole inner world changes. It has to. Why? Because he's taking Rachamim and he's overpowering the din. He's judging favorably. By judging favorably, he brings himself to joy. Through that joy, he's now able to do tshuva. The tshuva is the din. When you try and do the tshuva without feeling good about yourself, you just feel worse. That's like Esav without Yaakov. But when you have a para aduma tamima, that the para aduma is not just red, it's also tamima. It's filled with empathy, compassion for yourself, rachamim, joy. Then you can also have the aduma, and that's the thing that brings complete purity to the whole world, which is the key to Mashiach. They say that there's been 9 paradumas so far in existence. Moshe was the creator of the first paraduma, and the final paraduma is only going to be seen when Mashiach is here. But he's going to be tamima. He's going to be completely red. That this is the weird thing it says in the Midrash about the paraduma, that it makes tahor those who are tameh, and it makes tameh those who are tahor. It's the only thing in the world that has the ability to make something which is completely dark, sad, suffering, and bring it to the greatest joy, happiness, and purity. And on the other hand, for a person who's the opposite, he's able to flip it. This is what the paraduma is capable of. Because when a person judges himself favorably and he finds good points in himself, this is the concept of purifying himself. And therefore those who are tameh, those who are impure, they become pure through doing a zamra. Because the person is on the lower level, he's impure, he's in the difficulty, he's in the darkness. By finding the good point within him, he's mamish, it's like he's jumping in a mikveh. And he's finding it in order that he shouldn't fall completely, vikar taro, because the essence of tara, purity and shuva, ayadei daika, specifically through a zama, it's through this paraduma tamima, that it's tamima, that it's happy, that it's joyful, that's full of life, that it's full of chiyut, that it feels good about itself. However, who that he is pure, that he strengthens himself in his madrega, wherever he's at in good, instead of letting himself fall into despair, which is what we're learned from Rabbi Nachman, right? As soon as you start to feel negative, don't sit there. Don't delve into that place. Don't dwell in that place. I myself have experienced years-long depressive episodes from not having a zam. Another person might experience it for a week. Another person might experience it for a day. How quick can I get out of depression? How quick do you do a zam?
Is that the same thing as thoughts? Because the Zamra is all about thoughts. That means if you have a bad thought, and right away you move on to a good thought, isn't that?
It's very connected. Yes, it's very connected.
Number 5.
Yes, it's very connected. So you're gonna.
Izama is actually saying it.
Azamra is thinking and actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have the good thought, and then you have to say it out loud. If you just think it, you're not going to have the power to overpower your negative thoughts.
Or if you have a negative thought.
And I'll make it to you clear like this. Yaakov, he represents pure thoughts. Esav represents negative thoughts. Yaakov was not stronger than Esav. Esav was stronger than Yaakov. This is the reason why Yaakov was scared to see Esav. And he didn't leave his house with Rachel and his family until he gave birth to Yosef. Okay? Meaning that your pure thoughts, your good thoughts, you're not going to be able to think good thoughts instead of thinking negative thoughts just by thinking them. You have to mamish say them out loud. Because the tzaddik teaches by saying them out loud, you actualize those thoughts. As long as those thoughts are still in your head, they're only in potential. They don't have the power to overpower the negativity in your life. So in order to make them actual and overpower the negativity, you mamish have to say them out loud. And that's why a person, like let's say for instance, he's thought good thoughts. He's tried to think good thoughts. And all of a sudden he comes to these classes and he says, David, I really mamish tried a Zamra. This past week I changed my whole life. I don't know what happened, but just by saying good out loud, I started to feel really positive and thankful and happy. Why? Because you said out loud, you actualized what was in your mind was in potential. So you need both. We'll finish here. But vadai nivgam, that the good is certainly blemished, meaning when you don't do a zamra and you just try and do tshuva, then you fall completely. Like it says in Masechet Nida, even if the whole world calls you a tzaddik, you should be in your eyes like a rasha. So this is very hard to understand, and this is a proof that people bring to. No. This is a proof that people bring to say that Rabbi Nachman has no idea what he's talking about. How could it be that you're constantly looking for good in yourself? You're supposed to go not think you're a tzaddik. Yeah. How can you think of yourself like a rasha and you're also doing a zamra and you're making yourself feel good about yourself? Right? It seems like a conflict. Val Ken Amru, comes Rav Natan to say, actually, Rabbi Nachman's right. Why? Because it says ke rasha, like a rasha. V'lo rasha gamor, not like you're literally a rasha. You should never chas v'shalom think that you're a rasha. Think that you're like a rasha. What does it mean? Ki asur l'chazik atzmo l'rasha, because it says it's mamas aser. It is against the Torah to make yourself feel and to strengthen the concept that you are mamish, a bad person. Rak adraba, only the opposite. Kashin me lo shehu rasha, gamor chas v'shalom. Like that it appears to him like he's a rasha gamor chas v'shalom, that he's really a bad person. Vafilu im ha'emet. And even if the truth is ka chas v'shalom, it is thus, that he really is. Afal piken tzarich chapes uvakesh v'imso ba'atzmo nekud tova. Even though you might actually be the worst person in the whole world, it's still asur for you to think that about yourself. You have to go look for good points in yourself. Lavaye chas v'shalom rasha gamor. That you do not actually become in reality what you think in your mind. And through this nitar v'zoche, you actually, it's like jumping in a mikveh. You mamish purified yourself. V'zoche tshuva, and then you are zoche to actually growing. Because right now you can't grow because you feel bad about yourself. Because you feel bad about yourself, you're being judged like such. Your ability to be able to lift yourself up from that place is you need to judge yourself favorably. You need to see good in yourself. By seeing good and saying it out loud, you actually mamish take yourself out from the chaf chova to the chaf schut, from the side of judgments and the side of Esav to the side of David. David was able to keep doing tshuva his whole entire life. Esav just kept getting more and more and more negative and doing worse and worse things. The difference is a zamra. David looked for Hashem. Esav said, I'd rather just have this world and leave it alone.
So you're able to do
And this is the concept of it makes pure those who are impure, it makes those pure those who are impure, or impure those who are pure. Okay, guys, they're going to do a Gemara now.
So a person going to do, he can ask Hashem whatever he's lacking, whatever he's feels like he's a Rashad.
Oh, wait, sorry, I just want to get something. Guys, everybody, one second. One of my students, it's okay if I say who?
You looking at him and say it's okay to say that?
Okay, Mike has been one of the students at Zion, and he's been a faithful student since it started. He's probably the first person I ever met in my life who took the hour on himself immediately and haven't stopped since. Kol kavod to him. No matter how difficult his life has been and no matter how many things he's been through, and he's been through a lot since that happened, he still doesn't give up on it. And he came up with the most beautiful, beautiful thing, which is called Hiboredu for an hour a day, where he wrote out very simply and explicitly what are things to speak about, the times that you speak about it, so you don't have to go out there and struggle and say, what am I going to say for this whole time? He sent it to me. It's amazing. I made maybe 1 or 2 additions, but otherwise it's Mimashim. I want to give it to everybody. We're going to give it out in the classes as well. You should look it over. You should study it. Yeah. And everybody who you know that needs it will print out more copies. And
Can you send a link to the chat so somebody could print it out?
Mike can send out links.
Can you send out links to the chat so somebody could print them out?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna keep one myself. And we can give out these. Someone can give out these last three if anybody wants to give them out. If you guys are listening online and you want them, we'll send it to you as well. Just send us your email to @gmail.com, and we'll send it to you as well. And thank you so much for listening, everybody. I hope you had an amazing class and you enjoyed it.
Bro, David, I heard you know this.
Yeah.